Okay, I want to welcome you. We have a very special occasion today. Um, One of the best things that happened is that Dr. Amy Abou Bakr is back. And Dr. Abou Bakr was a student. She has a BS from the School of Foreign Service. So we're delighted to welcome her back. She's moved up in the world. She is now at King's College. And we always like to welcome people. So you guys, when you graduate, come back. We want you. And she's going to introduce her parents, and I'm going to stay out of the way. Please, come on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Delighted to be here. As Professor Haddad said so eloquently, I'm Amy Abou Bakr. I graduated from Georgetown 2001 School of Foreign Service, Middle East Studies major, and was in Professor Haddad's class as a second-year student. And actually, I remember her so fondly, and I continue to sort of blatantly plagiarize her every time I teach a class, because she said something I'll never forget. And she said, she started Middle East Civ 1 and 2, and she started the class by saying, if there's one thing you remember from this class as you're reading and doing all of your research, it's to remember history is the fiction of the powerful. And it's something that I've always remembered, and it's something I continue to tell my students because I'm teaching now first-year undergraduates in politics at King's College London. So I think it's one of the most important lessons I actually learned as a student here at Georgetown. So it's a real honor and pleasure to be back, and even more of an honor and pleasure to get to introduce my father, which is a first for me. So it's a real treat to be here and have an opportunity to introduce him. My father, Dr. Ahmed Abou Bakr, has a background in economics, PhD in agricultural economics, worked at the US State Department for a time as a Middle East liaison. This was sort of during the Carter years and the Camp David Accords, moved back to Egypt, and where he met my gorgeous stepmother, Taysir Fahmy, and married in the early 80s, and eventually changed careers and left government work and left his work as an economist and entered the film industry. And so for the last 20 or so years, he's been a filmmaker, directing, producing mostly Egyptian television drama series and movies as well. And my stepmother, Taysir Fahmy, who's also with us today, won't be speaking, but she's here. And the reason that we're here is because a year ago, like the rest of the world, our family found ourselves one way or another in the middle of the Egyptian revolution. And Taysir was very, very active in the square and spoke openly against Mubarak on Al Jazeera, on Al Arabiya, taking great personal risks at times to do so. My father joined her, and as a result, they've had quite a tumultuous year as she began the first political party in Egypt to be led by a woman in the Middle East, not just Egypt. And she and my father established a party and have also established an NGO. So I thought it would be wonderful for them to have an opportunity to come here today and speak a little bit to Georgetown and the community here about what it's been like, what the political process has been in the last year, and share some of their experiences with you. And please ask questions and engage, because we're thrilled to be here and looking forward to the opportunity to hear your thoughts as well. So without further ado, my father, Dr. Ahmed Abou Bakr.
Thank you very much for this wonderful invitation to speak in this great university, Georgetown. It's also good to be introduced by your daughter. It's good. And actually, I would like to thank Professor Haddad for the work she did to invite us to come here all the way from Egypt to talk to you. And also, I would like to thank all of you for coming to share with us our experience and knowledge about the 25th of January revolution. Actually, I really want to talk and give you street knowledge. I'm not here to give a lecture, but I'm here to share with you how this happened, what did we did in Tahrir Square, our real experience from the street of Egypt, where we witnessed as a first eyewitness on the revolution and what happened and where we are now. And actually, we also joined the 25th anniversary of the revolution just about a few weeks ago, and we jumped in the plane on the 28th of January, and we came here. We were in New York, and we are very pleasant to be here with you today. First of all, before the 25th of January, we know that something is coming. We were actually in a position where we were ruled by the last pharaohs of Egypt, Mr. Mubarak. And actually, he's a long-lasting pharaoh. He was there for 30 years. Never in the history of Egypt who has a pharaoh who stayed for just 30 years in power. So we call him the last pharaoh of Egypt, and we hope that we get rid of him because he's still there. Before the 25th of January, let me tell you what is it. It is a police day in Egypt. And this is this is the day where the Minister of Interior, who heads the police department, goes and gives some speech to his force, his police force, and honoring all the police department. But the young people like you were really very upset from the police. The police, all what they did in the last few years, they were tortured, thrown in jail, treated very badly. There's lots of police brutality in the street and everywhere. So they decided, like everybody else, to go down and to protest against the police. They wouldn't even have any idea about revolution. And nobody in the country knowing anything. But actually, the younger generation was more smarter than us. They get in the Facebook, with all the electronic media, using new tools, contacting each other, Cairo University, Ain Shams University, youth in the street, young people, young generation, asking them to go down in the street and protest the action of the police against human rights and against freedom of speech. But we get all this on the TV, and we know that something abnormal. First time in the history of Egypt to have those younger generation contacting in the media and telling each other, let's go, let's go. Even Taysir was telling me something going to happen in the 25th of January. I told her, oh, it's a police day, they're just going to go out and march and everybody clapping hands to them. And so she said, no, this is something different. I told her, well, what do you think? She said, well, let us go just and watch and see what's going on in the street. Actually, we were in the streets that day and we find ourselves in the middle of the action. Many young people run, police been beating at them. It was we were caught in the battle, street battle actually. And all kind of guns, all kind of weapons, and actually the young people doesn't have any weapons, doesn't have anything. And sometimes they stick together, bring to God in the street so nobody will beat them, but actually they waited and we have all those water holes, everything. So we witnessed very bad things and we actually say, what's going on here? But actually the police department that day succeeded in beating all those kids, killing a number of them and wounding thousands. And those who were wounded, they go to the hospital to get the treatment. The secret police was waiting for them there, and instead of treat them into the hospital, they take him to the police headquarters, start to beat him up more. Number of them get killed this way. Actually, the young people were scared. Whenever they find the ambulance, they run away because they know this ambulance actually is not an ambulance. Anyway, we went to home. And we watch all this in the television, and we find that Tahrir Square was a really mad battle. You know, it was almost empty, and shoes and the clothes and everything were throwing everywhere in the square. And when we see this, I think everybody in Egypt get mad, and we decide that nobody should stay home. On the 26th was a quiet day. Everything was quiet in the country, knowing that something gonna happen. In the 27th, we decided at this time, because we were getting lots of calls from young people and from some actress and actor who plays with Taysir were young, and we decided that, listen, we shouldn't go from one direction to the police. We should actually go from different street, which is actually at the end, it leads to the square. So this way we can have this police scattered all over the place and probably weakening them. And it was a successful thing. This in the 27th. Everybody went there to the Medan, and we succeeded from different direction in the Medan, and where this police were going here in force, here in force. And actually our goal was is to meet in the middle of Medan al-Tahrir and ask the political forces in Egypt to give us some democracy. And the main three things which we're saying, عيش, حرية, عدالة اجتماعية. عيش means decent economic life. حرية means liberty. عدالة اجتماعية means social justice. This is the three thing which is everybody was calling in Tahrir Square. And we succeeded that day to actually break the police department forces, but it was actually again mad battle. All kind of weapons were used. Gas were used, guns were used, everything were used. And also the tank were used, and even just running over people. But at least, from different direction, we succeeded to get in the middle of the Tahrir Square, and we started shouting with basically decent economic life, liberty, and social justice. And also the police department at the end of the day were successful in getting into the Medan and getting everybody out, killing a bunch of people, having lots of hurted. So we went back. Then the 28th of January, this was a very important day in the history of Egypt, where we decided this was Friday. And the Fridays, they have a Friday prayer. And we decided to go to every direction in Cairo, because the Tahrir Square is the middle of the city, and you can go to Tahrir Square from 8 different entrances. So we decided with all the young people, they actually decided, and we're really backing them. All of them to go to every place in Egypt and pray in some mosque and get all the prayer with him and move to Tahrir Square. And this was a very successful plan and very successful day. I try to tell you that all of this do not have any organization. It's just happened by people inspiration. People were inspired for change. And actually this what happened. Even Mr. Muhammad Barad'i, who was the ex-director of the, what's the name of the angels? IADA. And he was in Egypt actually, and he decided to also pray in one of the mosques in Giza. And we just scattered over the country in different mosques. And this was a good movement, because at this time, first time we get 1 million people from all over country, all of them from different directions to the Medan, went into Tahrir Square. Yeah, and we call it Mad Friday. And this is a very important day in the history of Egypt, Mad Friday. And actually, the police department, 5 people come from everywhere, even all the government official, everybody was really very surprised, because they never witnessed that in history of any revolution, where 1 million people at one time moving from everywhere in Cairo going to Tahrir Square, knowing that they're gonna get shot, knowing that they're gonna fight nothing but police forces, which is equipped with all kind of war equipment, if you wanna call it war. So we went there, and this is the first day we even were able to get the tank and move them and turn them down, and we have running after the police, and all the police were running in front of us, because they find the mad people just from everywhere coming against them. And those people, no one of them was even have a stake in his hand, just running like that towards them. And we were successful in Mad Friday to get into the Medan, and we actually were having about 1 million people there, and we sat in the square, we said we're never gonna go back. And this is the first day we called for changing the system, and we asked Mubarak to go down. And this is really surprised everybody, because actually nobody imagined that anybody will have the high voice to tell the government to go down or tell Mubarak to go down. But actually, we were really very proud of the younger generation who were standing there in the Medan, the Tahrir Square. And surprising thing about it, and the upsetting thing about it, that you will be walking next to somebody and he would fall down dead. You don't know where's shotting coming from. And actually, the police department is still around the Medan in a very high, the roof in the high building, and they just shoot people. And you'll be walking down that Medan, you don't know when you're gonna get shot or when you're gonna get hurt and things like that. But we took the chance, and even Taishir, when I was walking next to her in the Medan, I can see something, some light coming to her, like leader. And we thought because she's an actor and she's a very well-known figure, somebody tried to, play a game with her with some laser. But actually, this was the gun where they have laser, and somehow they put light to the person before they shoot him. And actually, every time we move, we find that laser was after her. And we know that later. We don't know that at that time. But at that time, we thought somebody just playing game or something like that. But anyway, this is the day of the 28th. This was the victory day, Mad Friday, and we succeeded to get in the Medan. And we said we're going to stay there till the president leave, and this is it, what it takes. And we actually have everybody in Cairo, everybody in the country was taking plane and everything can go in Tahrir Square. Also on the 29, 30, 31, every place in Egypt have Medan, and every people went to, just to their Medan in their state or their government and stand there, and we finally find accidentally that everybody in Egypt stands in his own Medan in wherever he lived. This is surprised everybody, surprised the country. On the 29, 28, and 30, those were the day we're in the Medan. I'm gonna tell you some funny story about the Medan. It's not funny, but it's something to share with. We were there in the night and it was very cold, maybe colder than here today, because remember those days they were very, very cold. And the kids do not have any even something to, because they were out in the street, they're scared to go home. And just as a million people together, we are strong, but if we left somewhere, we know that everybody gonna get cold. So Tashir told me, let's go get some blanket. I said, where do we get blanket? So fortunately, we have some street which is about 2 miles from the Medan, which is have all of it, it's a blanket market. And we went there and we told that shop, do we have a blanket? He said, how many you want? He said, 2,000. And the guy said, I never sold 2,000 blankets one time, but I have a little storage place here. And he talked to Taishir, to her, are you the one in Medan? She said, yes. Are you Taishir family? She said, yes. She said, oh, I sell those for that much, but I can give you 50% sale on him because I want to join this. So she told him, but how am I going to get 2,000 blankets into the Medan? So he said, don't worry about it. You just go there and don't give me money now. Just give it to me in the Medan when you see the 2,000 blanket went there. And it happened. We went to the Medan and we were there. And what this guy did, he has all the young people making big line, taking 5 blanket by 5 blanket, and somehow, because the army was surrounding the Medan, and the police force also surrounding the Medan. And there is no way they're gonna let tank or truck going into the Medan with 2,000 blanket. So can you imagine putting 5 blanket, and have big line of kids putting gold, finally, yeah, and they put them in their head and move. And they, at this time, we were saying, we are not gonna leave, he should leave, the president of the country, because they were asking to leave, and the thing say, مش هنمشي هو يمشي, we are not going anywhere, he should go. And anyway, that blanket going to the Medan was really something which has encouraged those people, because everybody was so taking the blanket and saying, it gives them some warmness. Because I am an American, and I lived here for a while, and my Tashir is my wife, it was in the newspaper everywhere that we are working for the CIA and we are being financed by the CIA, and the CIA bought the blanket and they were giving it in the Medan, and also we were bringing to some people some kind of little meal, because most of them really are very poor people, and even to put them in the Medan and give them blanket, and sometimes to have to feed them. So we have little meal called koshari, which is very inexpensive, about 50 cents a meal, which is very good. It's macaroni and lentil and some rice and some tomato sauce ingredient. And we were also trying to get some of this distributed. So they said, we've been distributing Kentucky Fried Chicken. And anyway, this is just some story we witnessed in that Medan. But anyway, first time Mr. Mubarak appeal was in the 29th of January, trying to play game, and they started pleading with the people that he want to die in Egypt, they're never going to leave Egypt, he was doing that for the will of Egypt. And some people actually did believe him and what he's saying, but we were really saying that he's playing game. So they started playing game with us. I think he has the Minister of Interior leave the government because he's the one who did all this, and he has this minister here, and this is forming a new ministry, all that stuff, and we know that all of this game is not gonna get us anywhere, and we're asking him directly to leave. You know, we don't want anybody to leave but him. Anyway, on the 1st of February, this was the day when he went and he pleaded to people that he's gonna change, he's gonna do the right to change, and so on. But actually, we do not believe him, and some of us left, but the rest of us who stayed in the Medan were very sure that he's playing game, and this is what the second day, the 2nd of February, which is the Battle of Camel. We were there, and we have all those camels and all those horses, and all those guys coming with sword and sticks and everything, and walking in the Medan and beating everybody up. And this is where every Egyptian knows that Mr. Mubarak is dishonest and he playing game with the revolution. And at this day we decide that we are not gonna leave until he leave. And anyway, you know, we remember every day. If I'm gonna tell you the story of every day in the Medan, we're gonna need probably 10 hours or so, but I just giving you the highlight of this revolution and the process. Anyway, we were sitting every day there and scared of getting out of the Medan. Actually, I went one day home because I noticed she needed to be arrested, and everybody was after her because she is first public figure who stood on the Jazeera, on Arabia, on Al-Hurra, and everybody asking Mubarak to leave, and everybody was very surprised. And everybody was saying what she needs. She lives very good. She makes millions of pounds, and she's all right. She's a famous actress. Why she stood that way in the Tahrir Square? And actually, they were somehow try to arrest her. And I went to home, and this what really the surprise was with me is that I find the security police was standing there, and intelligence officer and everybody asking for her just to come for a few questions to ask and so on. And actually, they asked me to go with them to the police station just to question me also about what's going on, all that stuff, in which really I was frightened. And the way I did it, I just thought, well, let me talk to the embassy because I'm an American, and if anybody just arrested me, I have to give report to the embassy. And so I told me, American, are you American? I said, yes. Then told, okay, I'm coming back after 2 hours, and wait for me here. And he left, and I figured out that he just probably left. But anyway, I get myself and get to the square because the only safe place for us was to stay in the Tahrir Square. Too many people getting arrested at this time. I believe between the 2nd of February and the 11th of February, and after they defeated in the battle, the Camel battle, they start getting the prisoners out of the office, the criminal people who were in the office, and they were actually released them to go out and to come to the square, and those are the only people who can fight us. And we witnessed a very bad fight between the 2nd, the 3rd of February and the 10th of February. Those prisoners coming with us like a mad people, gangster, and they come in with all kind of white weapons like knives and sticks and everything, and they come to the Medan. But thank God, the young people like you, university student, everybody was standing for them, and we surrounded the Medan, and they were fighting group after group, group after group, and we were able actually to beat also those gangsters who was relieved out of those jailers. 11th of February was the day of victory, whereas Mubarak announced his resignation and leaving the country, and he left, and thank God he is gone. I just want to give you this little introduction to tell you why did we decide to build a political party. we make some strong follower in the Midan. We were with everybody really who like to see Egypt better system, better society, better economic development, everything. So those people came and asked Taysir, why we don't form a group, organization, anything? Because actually, the best thing about the Egyptian revolution, it was not organized. There is no leader. There is no just people inspired to get in the street to do change, and this is something really very good experience, and this is why I tell you the organized power in Egypt who is taking over the system today with the Muslim Brothers, because they were working in the street of Egypt for 82 years as undercover. I don't want to get into that right now, but I'm just tell you how we get the idea of getting together, because the only organized force in the country was the Muslim Brotherhood and the other Islamic organization, but we decided to get some democratic liberal power together. So we went together and we decided to tour the country, because it wasn't already Tahrir Square finished his job of getting the revolution successful, of getting Mubarak out. Then we decide to form what you call democracy train. And we have a train from the train station in Cairo, and we tour to the upper Egypt all the way to Aswan. And we have this big sign say democracy train, and we go to every state along the train, and we have a big conference with all the people inspired there, where they see us in Tahrir, they know who we are, we stand there and ask them to join, and let us get together, and this is where we get to build our party, which is the equality and the development party. Equality. Why did we choose the word equality? We wanna actually equal right for man and woman, equal right for Christian and Muslim, equal right, equality for getting jobs, equality for getting chance to receive education or to get education, equality to get high medical system, high medical treatment, and equality in everything. This is why we say, listen, in Mubarak regime we don't witness any equality, but now we need to be equal. All Egyptians should be equal, and this is why we call it equality. Then after that we have to develop our country to a better life, social justice, and economic development. And we received a very good support from every state we visited, or we call it government, we visited, and people were really backing us very good, and this is where we get the idea of building an party. And then the military staff, or the people who ruling the country right now, they make it very tough to build a party. Then they come up with this stupid rule to tell you, okay, you have to have 5,000 notary from 5,000 people all over the country. At least you have them in 10 different states, with at least 300 people from each state. And this really make it very difficult, because the notary over there is different from the notary here. Notary is a government agency in Egypt, belonging to the Ministry of Justice. And actually you have two rooms as big as maybe 5 by 5 yard, and one government employee, bureaucrat sitting on it, and probably the maximum he can make 5 notary a day. And when you have many people establishing a new party, what, 30 or 40, and each one of them you try to catch 500 people from each state to do this notary, you can stand for a week or 2 weeks to get into the notary public to issue a notary for the body. This was the toughest process in building our body. When we go to every state and we have to get people from their home, and they go there to make notary to you, to stand in the line and go one day, second day, third day, till he succeeded to get into that government office to have his signature in front of the notary public person, was really a very tough thing. But thank God we succeeded to do that, and we finished all those signatures by August of 2011. Then we were successful. The most important thing and the story we can tell, when you have 5,000 signatures, we succeed to get 5,186 signatures. And so they ask you to have to put them in alphabet. In each state, you put them in alphabet. And you have to have one writing by hand, not even printed in printer or something. So we have about 30 people, a round table, each one of them try to write, then we have to make 22 copies to give them to 22 agencies to make our body register. By the time we finish that process, we have to take those paper to the High Supreme Court of Egypt in a truck. And the 20 kids walking carrying those papers to get into the court to give this paper. But actually over there, our story was very good spread all over the country because we find the newspapers, the media, the TV, everybody was waiting for us there because actually we did all this out of our pocket and we get the help of the young people. And they were even very surprised that we succeeded in getting into there. And actually, we went there, and they don't believe it. The camera, everybody was cheering. Tashir Fahmy succeeded to build her own body. And we have a general assembly, and the first assembly which is voted for a woman. Actually, Tashir was not going to really elect her or run for the office of being the president of the body, but the people say she should be the president of the body, and nobody ran against her. And this is really was very good. And when we went to Supreme Court over there, and everybody, all those justices were there and saying, wow, this is the first time in our history to witness as a woman going to be a president of an Egyptian body. This is a Muslim country, and this is a Muslim world, it is an Arab world. But actually, it was really very good day. And we finished the process. And actually, I would say the Just and the Justice Department were very proud of that. And we were succeeding to get the body registered in 3 weeks. And this is the first body which run as fast, in everything, faster than anybody. Then we finished. Then now we said, well, this was the beginning of October, but the election for the parliament was supposed to be in November. So can you see a body which is just established, has no finance, has no any thing, but we inspired from the street. And here we are asked to run for the People's Assembly of Egypt, which is the Congress or the Senate in this country. And we decide, okay, we're gonna run, but we cannot run by ourselves. Then we look for other 7 parties have the same situation. Some of them were already established, some of them were trying to get some signature and some notary, but we succeed to get 7 of those. And we called this movement, which is very famous right now in the Middle East, Revolution Continue Coalition. So we called ourselves Revolution Continue Coalition. And we were succeeded actually in taking this tough, difficult competition, and I would call it battle, against the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood, I want to know, they are not new in the politics. They've been there for 82 years. They are the ones who helped President Nasser in 52 to get into power. Then Nasser actually ran against them and put them all of them in jail. Then also, they were off jail when Sadat came in 1971 after Nasser get killed. And Sadat released them out of jail, all of them, but they were the old, but they actually, the older they get, they have a new generation working in the street of Egypt undercover. And this is why the Muslim Brotherhood is very strong. They are not just coming today. They've been working there forever in the history of Egypt. And then anyway, we find out that we were running against this huge system, which they have a branch, or they have a little cell in every village in Egypt. And they get the money from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, from Dubai, from Gulf State. As a matter of fact, I understand they throw in $200 million, which is what 1 billion, 200 Egyptian pound into that election. Against who? As about people like us who doesn't have nothing but actually to pay for this from their own pocket. So I would say it was very completely unfair competition. And the reason those people they were there were stronger is because Mr. Mubarak was used them as a watchdog to fight the Christian, to fight the Western world, because they want to tell you whether Mubarak or other Iran would come here. But actually, to be frank with you, they are not Iran. They are more polished than Iran because they have a good knowledge of politics. And again, as I said, they were in the street for 82 years. They are not new. I'm just saying how strong they are, but we can beat them if we have some time. Because the Egyptian people have no way to go but to those people, because they have the money to give each one of the poor people in the street, who's actually 60 or 70% of the voters, they give them kilo of sugar and kilo of cooking oil and some clothes and so on. So we were actually, and those people, they don't know anything, but those people are good. They give us food, they give us this, but we actually don't have that kind of finance to go and give those people that much of aid. But we were fighting actually by telling people, hey, we don't want to make you beggar. We want to bring you some economic development project. We want to develop you. We want to help you to, to help yourself in the future. And actually, the district where Taysir decided to run for our party in some district in Cairo, we have what you call squatter area or slum area. And in this area is in Cairo now, there's about 17 to 20 million people live in those squatter area or in the slum area. And this is an area, no electricity, no running water, no sewer, no housing. They just come and build those and those. Those are the voters. And how you get into those voters? Whereas Mubarak really deteriorated our economic system very badly, and he built up very high class private sector of his friend and all, the new establishment which is he built all over the country. But we were very surprised ourselves, and Taysir also, when she ran to that district and she goes there trying to find that the people who should vote it for her are those kind of people who doesn't have clothes, who doesn't have food, who doesn't have anything. But unfortunately, or fortunately, they were receiving her with hugs and happiness, because they know her as an actor, and most of her TV series and movie were actually asking for their welfare. So they know that this woman on the drama, which is the only tool she had during Mubarak regime, is to call for, with her drama about, she actually was the high voice for those people. So they were receiving her with hugs and all that stuff. But we have also that Revolution Continuous group running all over the country, and we succeeded to get 10 seats in the People's Assembly of Egypt. 11 seats. Okay, 11 seats in the People's Assembly of Egypt, which for us is very good. Because we don't spend any money. We just have nothing to go to those people but to promise them a better life. Taysir actually won in her district, but after when she won, she was punished by the military committee to basically have a stupid law, which is a throw away 50% of the people who make it to the assembly have to be a labor. And for each district, you have to have 50% labor and 50% professional. And she is a professional. In her district, they have they need 8 representatives. But the people who make it with highest vote, 5 professional and 3 labor. So they need 1 labor to be 50-50, so they take the Taysir seat and give it to the labor. So she's not a member in the parliament or the People's Assembly. Which is good. This makes us more stronger that we get to fight. And this is why we are in Washington today. We try to tell the people in Washington that we need your help, because we are democratic people. We try to work for liberty, and we try to work for decent democratic system. and we will meet the proper people in town and tell them exactly our experience and share with them everything I mentioned today to you. I don't want to take too much of your time, but just, I hope I was successful to give you a very hand assessment in a fast way of what difficulty we've been through to come to talk to you today. Thank you very much for listening to us. I guess we'll get open for question right now, and I'm very sure we have lots of questions.
Can you tell us a little bit about the role of women in the revolution besides your wife?
Okay. The role of the woman in the revolution, as a matter of fact, I would say that 50% of the people in the Tahrir Square were women. And whether you believe it or not, conservative, poor women were there, moderate women were there, all kinds of women from Egypt were there. Even munaqqaba or muhaggaba. Munaqqaba means those who completely covers their face, and muhaggaba who only covers their head, and all the liberal one, and all of them wants one hand. There is no liberal one hand, but I would say 50% of the people in the square were women. One woman actually running for president right now, Busaina Rashwan. Busaina Kamel. And too many women run for election in the People Assembly. But unfortunately, the military staff did not give them the chance, because we used to have a quota, but they give the quota only to the labor, while women do not have any quota there. And I would say out of the 510 People Assembly member, we have less than 1% represented as a woman. However, the women was very high participation in the revolution. They get only 1%. This is actually, there's some force working against them, I have to say that. But we are planning right now to do something about, to change the system in the next election.
Sir, would you agree that it was really a great mistake for the leaders of the revolution to align themselves with the army during those early days in Tahrir Square? And could you speak to that point, the point of the support that the people gave to the army at a time when, in fact, the army was playing this game along with?
See, I know what you say. We know that the army, or the leader of the army, not the army, the leaders of the army different from the army themselves. The leader of the army, we know that they are Mubarak students and Mubarak followers, but we have no way to go. At this point, we have no to go. That army was surrounding Tahrir Square with tanks, and we finished battle with the police department, who has even, stronger artillery, stronger tank and everything. But let us look how Mubarak was building his system. Mubarak had 4 armies. The Central Police Army unit, which consists about 500,000 soldiers, 500,000 police officers, which is especially to fight any protest. This is not the regular policemen in the street, but they are out in special camp to fight any protest. The second army he has, this is the Central Intelligent Police Forces, and this is really thousands of them, and they were very well trained of getting information and torturing people. Even after the revolution, when we attack those headquarters, we find places when they buried people under those offices. We find dead people. When you get to those offices to be questioned, you never get out. They just kill you and buried you there under their offices. We witnessed this. We saw this. So this is the second army. The third army is the National Guard, which those presidential guard. This to protect the president. Presidential 300,000 of them. Then after that you have the regular army, which is now ruling the country. Okay, this is actually which is we defend the borders and stuff like that. So Mubarak have 4 army actually to keep himself in power for 30 years. And for us, as people who doesn't have even anything to have any conflict with the army at this time, it wasn't in our side, especially as they announce they are in our side. But we have no way to go. The other way is to just gonna be a bloody battle, and we wanna make it peaceful revolution. We don't wanna have any more bloodshed. So this is what we were running against.
Hi. I'm wondering, what do you see as the prognosis? I heard on the internet and news that, Mubarak may not go through, finished trial, or maybe holding on to, there are all kinds of rumors, bottom line. And I just wondered, where you think, this is going. You're going to have to dismantle, cultures that have been embedded as a consequence of, the interactions between the West and the Middle East. And it's a tremendous, intellectual struggle, I think. So I just wondered where you thought this was going.
Yeah, I see your point that right now we have to realize that the army or the staff who are ruling the country right now are actually allied with Mubarak. And we don't know that, to be frank with you, we thought in the first day when they started they're gonna be with us. But actually they're playing game actually to protect Mubarak. We never witnessed some criminal like Mubarak to be treated 5-star treatment in a hospital between Sharm el-Sheikh and this military hospital in the road to Ismailia. And actually they have a very good force to protect him. And again, we are a peaceful revolution. We don't have any arm, we don't have any weapon, we don't have any organization, we don't have a specific organization to organize this. So it's just people inspiration, people inspired to change the system. And this is gonna make this revolution really is unique, because we just work without organization, and we've been successful. However, we've been watching Mubarak going, to the trial and sitting in that chair, which is fake. It's not fake actually, but it is a way to do it to keep himself out of jail. And we see his son and the ex-minister of Exterior wearing nice clothes like going to Olympic, and showing in the trial and all the stuff. But this is actually get the people more mad, and we are waiting to see what's going to happen. And believe me, if anything but 25 years or 30 years of jail at least for each one of them, and to get our money back. This is the least thing the Egyptian people are gonna demand. Maybe some of them hanging them, especially the Muslim extremists, asking for, killing him or something. However, we are waiting for this thing, but they've been playing games with us back and forth. Even the court, we don't know where they stand. But see, there is too many unknowns right now. I cannot answer your question. But we are just standing there watching very carefully where this is going to lead to. And what we tell ourselves, we stood there for years to change this. So we have few days or 3 months to go. And we're going to be patient to see where they're going to go. But if anything can happen but that, they're gonna be bad, and God knows what's gonna happen. Yes. Yeah.
I want to say thank you from the very, very bottom of my heart. As an Egyptian, I know so many people in America who couldn't go to Tahrir and couldn't be there, even though we wanted to so much. I just wanted to say thank you for your bravery and for your efforts. And it's very, very encouraging to stand up and hear someone say all of the things that we youth here and in Egypt, all of the things, all of the values that we're trying to achieve, to hear somebody stand up and say them in such a way is such a beautiful thing to me, because it's been so discouraging, all of the language coming from the parliament and from the TV. Almost, you look at the TV and you want to cry, but to hear someone say it in the way that you're saying it is so encouraging. I wanted to ask, I know that you said that you started an NGO. I was gonna ask you to maybe explain a little bit about what you're doing with the NGO. And I also wanted to ask, is I know that there are many youth abroad who would like to help, who would like to support your effort. Is there any way that us over here, how can we help you?
Okay, the NGO called the Partnership for Democracy and Development. And this is started by Taysir and I, and we have a very permanent, good board members. And it's an organization. And because actually when we run for an election from this district where we have this people who lives in the smog, which is we say about 17 to 20 million people, we decided and we promised them to help them. And this is why we built this NGO. And you know, to help those people, you need every effort, human effort, we need every penny to help them and so on. As a matter of fact, we spend too much money from our bucket till today without any help from any government agency or foreign aid or stuff like that, where we know there is millions of dollars being thrown into other group and other NGO in Cairo. But we are actually building this organization to help those people somehow in a project where they need health care, they need education, they need
Small project.
they need lots of small enterprise activities. They need almost everything. It's very, very poor, needed people, and they have lots of problems. So we decided to build this organization, NGO, to help them. But actually, really, we built this, we just have all the approval or all the right paper to this organization, so we'll be working legally. We don't go to any problem other organizations have right now. And we've been able actually to have all the organizations established back in July 2011. But we don't have time actually to get busy with our NGO activity, and this is why you are in Washington for. We are in Washington to help, to ask people to help us, because we consider this as liberal democratic power. We try to do good for Egypt, and we try to help 20 million people of Egypt who doesn't know even what is the word democracy is, who doesn't know even what the election is all about. He doesn't know even what the government is all about. So we have lots of work to do, and actually we feel that we can do it by ourselves. So we need help, and this is why we're here. And we appreciate your help. Good question. Yes.
Yeah, kind of a specific question, but I was hoping you could talk a little bit about the role of the revolutionary socialists in Egypt, and more broadly the organized left in Egypt. How big of a force at all is that? And was it in the January 25th revolution, and then today on the ground? What is the role? What is the strength of the organized left?
Are you saying where we're gonna go to?
I'm saying, what is your impression of the role of the organized left and the revolutionary socialists right now in Egypt? And what was its role in the January 25th revolution?
Socialists.
The revolutionary
Socialists?
socialists, yeah.
Oh. Okay, I don't think really there is no any role for the socialists. Okay, but we have some hope for social justice. Okay, I don't know what you mean by socialist, but social you mean communist? Or
زي
you-
نصر.
Huh?
زي نصر.
اشتراكية يعني.
اشتراكية، yeah.
اشتراكية.
Yeah, we have
دور الاشتراكيين في
اشتراكيين.
الثورة.
Mm. Okay, we have lots of socialistic people, yes, in the revolution. But now socialistic people in Egypt are not too many of them and not too influential. They are very little group here and there. And they talk in theory, they don't talk in practicality. Okay, they're still going back to the old communist system, who's talking about how people should live and how everybody should get whatever, like, a Marxist system and all that stuff. But we don't think that they have they have some role in the revolution. They were in the Maidan, they were in Tahrir Square, and they were helping, and they were. But I don't think they are they are not too influential, because I think the world today moved to a specific way, which is democracy and the development. Okay, but really to go back to the old socialistic system regime is very difficult right now.
No, هم فازوا 10 أماكن.
But they were succeeded to get 10 members in the People Assembly. تجمع.
ناصريين أم
لا
اشتراكيين؟
اشتراكيين، يعني في تجمع وفي التحالف الشعبي الاشتراكي وفي مصر الاشتراكي
There were a few, I'll translate.
Yeah.
There were a few socialist representatives that did get into the various parties, and she's just listing what those parties were. Nothing top secret.
Yes.
It's a private
Yes, that's really, yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I had two questions quickly. What is the kind of work that the Revolution Continues Alliance is doing? I voted for them. I really think that they are, broadcasting the roles and the wants of the Egyptian people and what the revolution stands for. So, but unfortunately, they didn't get as many seats as other parties, as you were saying. So what have you guys been doing in terms of after the elections? And also I had a question about women's roles and rights in Egypt. As you're saying, there's a force that's working against women's roles, women's right, even though, women were very involved in the revolution and have been always active in Egyptian society. I think this is because a lot of these women's organizations were linked to Suzanne Mubarak, even though this is not the case. We know that, but people see it as this is from Suzanne Mubarak, or this is a foreign agenda. We need to change the roles of women and the rights of women, and this is kind of an ideological fight, I think. So what do you think is the future for women's rights and women's roles in politics? As the quota was removed as well, even though the farmers one wasn't. It's unfortunate, but what are your insights, I guess, on how this is going to develop?
Well, Suzanne Mubarak, really, when you look back, I don't think Suzanne Mubarak were working for the women in Egypt, but she was working for herself. And I can tell you, because lots of money or aid money who came from BVO all over the world to support the women movement in Egypt went to her bucket. And we know that she has lots of accounts in the bank out of all those accounts. So Suzanne Mubarak was appearing in front of all the world just doing something for women. She did little, but not enough with the amount of finance she get for doing some effort. And if she did something for them, they will be there today. So actually the revolution shows that Suzanne Mubarak were nothing but a crook. This is actually what happened. Now, we come to the future of women in Egypt. 55% of the population of Egypt is women. Okay, so what I say, we have to know that it's very, very important forces. But when you come to the Egyptian economy, that 40% of the Egyptian population right now, as a result of 30 years of Mubarak regime, under the line of poverty. So, and most of those women lived in this bad slums area, and they live in the very, very poor villages. And this is the one who causes some kind of population problems, because every family have 12 kids and 11 kids and so on, things like that. And this is probably who put the Muslim Brotherhood in power today in Egypt, okay? But we look forward to do something about developing those women, because if we want to develop the women in Egypt, we have too many or a lot of very sophisticated, educated women who hold a very good position and officials in the government. But those women actually is not a decision makers. They are just government employee, high corporate official, and so on. And too many college graduates are women, okay? But when we were talking about women development, we have to go down to those 40% of the Egyptian population who live under the line of poverty. And this is would need lots of work, okay? But because we have here a body headed by a woman, this is encouraging. I think she's gonna do all what she can do to develop those people because she ran for election for those people. And our plan for the NGO and for the party is to help this woman to help themselves and help the country.
لا هي بتسألك على الوضع اللي احنا فيه ده احنا مستقبل الست هيبقى ايه؟ مش ان احنا نعملها، احنا مستقبلنا دلوقتي هيبقى ايه في ظل الحكم الاسلامي.
Are you, what is Taysir said, you want to know about the future of those women and where we're going right now with this situation with those women? Is this what you want to?
You can address that a little.
Yeah. بس جاوب انت جاوبي وانا
انت شايف ايه؟ انت جاوب وشوف
تكلمي ومن
I really think they are not powerful right now because again, as I told you, they are not under the line of poverty, and to give them their right, you have to educate them, you have to make them knowledgeable of what's going on. I'm saying most of those people don't know what the world of democracy is all about, what the election is about, what government is about, what's constitution is it. Go there, and we were running for elections there. They don't know anything. So the way right now, it looks sad, you know, and this is why the Muslim Brotherhood make it, because they actually tell them, for example, in the election, if you vote for this guy, you're going to go to hell. If you vote for this guy, you're going to go to heaven, okay? So actually, they played in the idea of the ignorance of this woman in this Islam. So this is the future now. I can see in the future in this situation. And this is why we have to build a strong BVO system, government system, body system to try to help those people out to help themselves. This and the most important people who have to help is those women because they are the head of the family. Yes.
I've read a lot about the role of the arch-conservative Salafist parties, even to the right of the Muslim Brotherhood. And I've also read that the Muslim Brotherhood is considering entering into some sort of coalition with the secular parties in order to keep the Salafists out of power. Do you think that's a viable arrangement? And speaking as somebody who is kind of at the forefront of the secular party movement in Egypt, how do you see the role of the Salafist groups, and how are you trying to kind of counter their influence?
You're talking about the Muslim Brotherhood.
No, Salafiyin.
Salafiyin. Okay. Actually, we really don't know where the Salafiyin came from. After the revolution, too many of them came from Afghanistan. Some of them come from Pakistan. Some of them, they were scattered all over the world. And they are financed very good by money. And again, the battle in the street in this last election, what's the matter, whether you owe some money or not? Because I'm saying lots of people who vote are very poor. So they will look into whoever gives them the money. So the Salafiyin, some of them even were in jail, and they went out of jail running for an election, you know. So the Salafiyin is actually completely different from the Muslim Brotherhood. Those are people which they go back to the ancient days of life, ancient Islamic days of life. So I don't think the Salafiyin gonna have too much a future in Egypt. But their coalition or their unity with the Ikhwan Muslimin was broken. It doesn't last too long because even they are, both of them are have some Muslim philosophy, but they are different. Whereas those represent the liberal power of the Muslim, and those represent the very strict, radical power of the Islam. So I don't think Salafi gonna have too much of future in Egypt. This just happened at this time, at this era, whereas they organize themselves very fast and they throw money in the street, and this was very surprise to everybody. I'm not sure also about the future of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, because see, Egypt is not Iran. We have to realize that Egypt is not gonna be strict religious country or Muslim country. We have too many intellectual. Addition, we have 20% of our population are Christians. And the problem in this last election is that was the liberal power did not get together to form a coalition against that religious movement. But basically because we don't have the time. We just disorganized. And however, the people who started the revolution in Egypt as those liberal coalition who doesn't have anything to do with religion parties, okay? But what happened is that the religion party raped the revolution. They raped them, and they been the leader of that revolution. So this is how we call it in Egypt, our revolution been raped by the Islamic fraction who now controlling close to 70% of the People Assembly. I don't think this is gonna last for too long. And I believe that the liberal forces all over the world, it has to work with the liberal forces of Egypt to organize them, to get them together, and to add them somehow. Yes.
Other than the factors of organization and better finance for the Brotherhood, what would you say about the impression that a lot of Egyptians have that the Brotherhood are the least corruptible, are the most incorruptible? الانطباع عند الشعب المصري انه الاخوان نضاف وما كان عندهم علاقه بال يعني بمبارك and his regime in general.
It's true that the Muslim Brotherhood was not on Mubarak's side during his regime. But meanwhile, they are tricky people, non-trustful one, because if Mubarak gives them some peace to rule, they wouldn't go there and be aligned with Mubarak. I do feel strongly that the Muslim Brotherhood are a group of people who actually would like to reach the government. They want to be there. They want to be in the parliament. They want to have those seats which they've been fighting for 82 years. After getting there, they will do anything to stay in power. But I don't think it's a religious factor. They just want to be a politician, they want to be there, they feel that they've been paying too much of price over their life. And this is the only change they got is to get into power, okay? So the Muslim Brotherhood now is in power. But actually, we don't know actually what they're gonna do, which way they're gonna go. For example, they went in alliance with military leaders. Then after that, they have some kind of, disagreement. And for example, in the 25th of January last month, they have the Tahrir Square, which is basically was organized by the liberal powers, the young people who started the revolution. And the Muslim Brotherhood was there to celebrate. But the other fraction, which is actually the liberal people who, I said, started the revolution, they say, no, we're not here to celebrate. We are here to say revolution is continuous. We did not reach our goals yet. And the Muslim Brotherhood started playing music and celebrating. Then at the end of the day, when they find all the square were shouting for that revolution continue, then they join the people and they start, okay, we are with the revolution to continue. So what I'm trying to say is they don't have really so far a specific direction. They look to where the winds go and they go with it.
بس هو بيسأل عن ليه الناس انتخبوهم؟
Why the people voted for them? I said because of the bad economic situation in Egypt. I said they get $200 million from Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states. We don't have that much money, okay, to throw on the street. And again, 40% of the people who voted under the line of poverty. So whoever gives them food, they vote for him. Yes.
What do you think about media censorship? I'm thinking specifically like laws against insulting the army or insulting religion, or like whether you need to wear a hijab on TV.
Media leadership.
Censorship.
Censorship. Yeah.
What do you think?
See, the media, you're talking about TV stations.
TVs, movies, TV
Newspapers.
shows, TV, news, all of it, really.
Okay, the media split it right now, but most of the media is for the revolution and the revolutionary people, okay? And there is lots of media shown, because you have to know, so during the Mubarak regime, there is lots of private sector leaders who were actually made their money through Mubarak. So certain people have been financing lots of those media to be anti-movement or anti-liberal movement. So we witness that sometime, but the majority of the media are for the people and for the revolution, and they've been influenced or encouraging the young people to continue in their movement. Most of the media. Yes.
If your party was to receive support from Western sources, say other NGOs in the US or other Western countries, do you think that it would delegitimize your party in Egypt or decrease your support there?
Yeah, we actually visited the church in Egypt in all the district where our revolution continue collision run to, and we received a very good support from the church and the Muslims, the Christian communities. However, there is other party like Liberal Egyptian, which is headed by most influential Christian in Egypt, had actually some good support also from the Christian voters. But I think the movement by Liberal Egyptian Party, which is headed by Mr. Sawiras, was not successful enough to face the Muslim Brotherhood for too many reasons.
No,
But she's asking about money from outside.
من الحكومة الأمريكية مثلا
To no,
هل يؤثر ذلك على
لا.
مستقبلكم؟
البارتي ولا
ما تقدرش تاخد ماني.
البارتي
ما يقدرش ياخد
ما
فلوس.
يقدرش
ما
هي مؤسسة.
That's the question.
Okay,
Yeah.
but he, as a party, I cannot receive money from outside, but as a BVO, I can. So we're talking about different things. But however, the Muslim Brotherhood get lots of finances from outside, not through official channel. They have their own way of sticking together where they smuggle money into the country illegally, but nobody catches it.
لا من عن طريق جماعة وهي منظمة، جماعة الإخوان.
Yeah,
وهي
I'm saying they organize themselves all over the world, Muslim Brotherhood, not only in Egypt. And that's why they get money into the country behind the government, because they are organized. But officially, they can't put money through the proper channel. They have their own way. Many of them live in Saudi Arabia, in Gulf, in Europe, in the United States, and they go back home and they put money. Somehow, I don't know how. But there is $200 million being smuggled into that election. Well, thank you very much, and I hope that I did answer your questions, and
I appreciate it very much.
thank you.
You won't say anything.